What's up, guys? We are fast approaching New York Toy Fair, so it is time for every company to kind of lay it all out on the table and show us what is coming this year and in the future. And I've just kind of run through the things that I want to see, or things I'm hopeful that we're going to see, things that we kind of know we're going to see, but I want to talk about those before we actually see them. No, not really in any particular order, just kind of run off the cuff with this one, because there's quite a bit of stuff that we really know is definitely coming this year, stuff that we have an inkling that is coming, things like that. So I just wanted to talk about them and get some feedback on what folks are really looking forward to and what you think we're going to see this year. Now, to start things off is probably the weakest thing for me personally, and that is the Mattel Spin Masters DC thing, because we all know that Mattel is no longer doing DC figures, at least for most market segments. They've still got, what, preschool and girls stuff, but as far as action figures, they're not going to be doing that anymore. I don't know if Spin Master is actually going to be there, and I don't know if Mattel is going to come out and say, here's X, Y, and Z regarding that. They may not do that. It's probably not the best place for that. You don't want to talk about what you've lost. You want to talk about what you're doing. But at the same time, are they going to show us stuff that is slated to come, because they still have the license for at least the year? And I don't know, again, if Spin Master is even going to be there, and if they are, can they show us anything, or can they even, or are they even capable of showing us anything right now? Do they have stuff ready to show? Because they can't start releasing figures until 2020 at the earliest. So I'm just curious about that. Obviously, I don't do really any DC stuff. I have one DC figure, and I don't even like him that much. So yeah, it's not a big thing for me as far as a collector, but in terms of the overall toy world, it's definitely something that I really hope we at least get an idea of what's going on. NECA has been a really big thing for me lately. As you may or may not know, if you've caught any of my reviews within the past month or so, I've been really NECA focused, just because there's so much stuff coming out that they've been putting out that has kind of been pushed back and back and back, and they're finally able to kind of release the floodgates on a lot of the product that was hung up last year. So we've got a lot of new stuff coming, and I really just want to see more and more of it. Obviously, there is kind of one big license that everyone wants to see something from, but as far as what I'm interested in, I want to see finished production samples of all the new Godzilla figures, because they've gotten a lot of stuff coming in fantastic new packaging. I want to see more Alien stuff, because I'm for better or worse getting back into the Alien figures as well, and I want to see more of those. I want to see the finished production samples for the arcade AVP aliens, as well as the humans. I want to see that stuff. I'm sure we will, because they're so close to coming out. Of course, I want to see, all of the Predator figures that they're going to have, because they are just firing on all cylinders when it comes to Predators lately. Pretty much every other week within the past month or so, we've gotten a new Predator figure, and we know that there are a ton that are just in the pipeline. We've got the emissary figures from the Predator movie. We've got the Assassin Predator. There's ultimate versions that are coming out. There's just tons and tons of Predators coming out. I would really like to see some more Dark Horse stuff. I would really like to see maybe some unique designs that they can do just to change things up a bit, or even more Kenner homage figures, just a lot of stuff like that. I know that they are 100% invested in bringing out tons and tons of Predators, and I think it's just a matter of time until we get ultimate versions of, say, the Predators, like the Super Predators from Predators. It's hard to say all this stuff when you're talking about stuff that has very similar names, but there's a lot of figures that I would really like to see. Definitely interested to see what they're doing there. I really want to see a lot of their horror stuff. I don't buy any of that, but I'm really interested to see some of that stuff. I like watching folks who are invested in that do what they do with those figures, with toy photography and things like that. So I'm really curious what they have coming for those licenses. I'd like to see the finished production sample on the Laurie Strode figure, because I kind of want that one. We will see. But of course, the big thing is Ninja Turtles. So as I'm recording this, today is the day that the GameStop Turtles came out, and there has been quite a hubbub about those, because people have had their orders canceled. Stores don't have them. There's a whole to-do about that. But I'm really curious what their go-forward plans are for that particular set of figures. Are they done? Are we going to get more? Are they going to have more made for GameStop? Are we going to get a 7-inch Foot Soldier and Shredder? I'm sure it's kind of a guarantee at this point, but are we actually getting it? What is the process that's going to make that happen? Is it going to have to be a San Diego Comic-Con exclusive first, and then we get them? I'd like to know that for sure. We've seen previously figures like the Slash figure and the Rock Warriors. I want to see if those are actually coming out, and how are they coming out? Are they going to be, another Comic-Con exclusive? Are they going to be a retail exclusive, because at San Diego, Randy said that cartoon and video game Turtles were being worked on for retail, but recently on Twitter he said that video game Turtles were not being reissued. So I'm not really sure what's going on there, although we do pretty much have confirmation that the cartoon Turtles are coming to Target, it looks like. So who knows? We'll see what happens with that. And I know he's hinted in the past that they have more villains in the pipeline. I mean, that has to mean Bebop and Rocksteady, right, as far as comic or cartoon Turtles go. And then I would really like to see Tokka and Razor, honestly. I don't know if a lot of folks are really interested in going that far, but a Tokka and Razor from the Secret of the Ooze would be fantastic to go along with the movie Turtles, since there were no mutant villains in the first movie. But I do think that, you know, NECA's got a lot of cool stuff coming, and of course we're going to see more of the quarter-scale foot soldier, and we are definitely going to see, in all of his glory, the finished production sample of the Shredder, which was just fully revealed recently. But I would love to see up-close video from folks that are there to show us every nook and cranny on that figure, because he does look truly perfect, but I would really like to see more of it. So I know they've got a lot of cool stuff coming. I basically just want to see more of it, and I want to know their release plans, if they can tell us that, for Turtles, because there was such a mess surrounding the movie Turtles around San Diego last year. I'd like to not have that again, just for peace of mind for everybody involved. Obviously, Hasbro is going to be a thing. They are, you know, pretty much the biggest thing at Toy Fair when it comes to anything we are interested in. So I want to see more Marvel Legends stuff. I really want to know more plans for X-Men figures. I want to know more plans for comic X-Men figures. I really want to know what's going on with the Hercules wave, because we know that that figure has already made it into the hands of folks from overseas, and there's been rumors of what's actually in that wave. The whole Hercules and Living Laser wave. So we've seen some inklings of what might be in there. I'd like to see confirmation, because I wasn't too thrilled by what I saw personally, and I'd like to know what the Build-A-Figure for that is, and just the whole deal, since that figure that got into people's hands didn't have a bath piece. We've already got, what, 3 waves this year so far, and we know there's a lot more coming. I just want to know, I want to know mostly what's going on with my X-Men. That's all I really care about. Everything else is just sort of icing on the cake when it comes to Legends for me. And you know, I don't get into movie stuff, but I'm curious what they're going to release for Endgame. I'm curious what's going to happen with the Spider-Man movie, because I kind of would buy a Mysterio figure, I think, if they made him, and I have to assume they're going to. But it's just a matter of time. I hope they will at least give us some hint of what's going on there. And then there are those rumored and possibly confirmed 80th anniversary figures that we've seen stuff like the Foosh posted an article about it, and then I think it got taken down, and then there were listings on Amazon that I don't know if they're still up or not. But we've got stuff like, you know, Alex Ross designs as far as comic book characters, a lot of movie stuff. We've got a, you know, classic Colossus and Juggernaut that was rumored. So there's a lot of cool stuff there that I would just like, and I know a lot of other folks will just like confirmation on, you know, what's actually happening. What are those? And then, of course, I'd love for them to just wow us with some crazy new Build-A-Figure, something wild, something mutant related, because again, that's just what I care about. Of course, we want to know what's going on with Black Series. I want to see more OT characters. I would really like to see more prequel stuff, just to kind of flesh that out a bit. Obviously, we might get some hints and as far as what's going on for episode 9, because it's definitely coming. So it's going to be a focus soon, sooner rather than later. Whether that's a good thing or not, depending on what you collect, you know, it's going to be a thing. So more Finns, more Poes, more Rays, I'm sure. But I'd like to see more of the characters that we already know exist. I'd like to see more aliens. I'd like to see more non-astromech droids, stuff like that. More aliens specifically, though. I really do need a Therm Scissor Punch from Solo in the Black Series, and I think that they've got a lot to pull from when it comes to that movie, but I just like to know what their plans are going forward. So you know we're going to see a lot of stuff. It's just a matter of what. And it's really hard to tell until Toy Fair actually happens, but that's definitely a focus for me. And not to mention the vintage collection, the 3 3/4 inch stuff, because the most recent wave is incredibly strong. And if they can keep that momentum going and actually get the figures into people's hands without, you know, an act of Congress, then it's got some legs on it finally, and I think they do have a lot of potential with that. It's just a matter of executing on it, maybe repacking some old figures that people who didn't buy them originally can now get alongside stuff that they've never made. It seems like, you know, that's the normal thing to talk about, but, you know, it hasn't really happened yet. And then, of course, the big vintage collection thing, The barge. Are we going to see a finished production sample on the show floor? I think now is the time. It was supposed to come out this month. I'm not entirely sure that that's happening. We haven't had any updates regarding that. The last update was actually titled The Last Update, so I don't know what's going on with the barge. I'm definitely interested and eagerly awaiting to get mine, but I'd like to see it on the show floor, see if we can figure out if anything has actually changed since then. And speaking of the barge, it happened last year. Are we going to get an idea of what, if anything, is happening for HasLab going forward? I don't know what they could possibly do. I'm not too sure where they can actually take this. I really think Transformers is a place that it can thrive, give, TF fans something truly humongous. But I've also thought about things, like a line of figures, not like Mattel's Matty Collector subscription thing, but where you straight buy into a brick of figures for a specific thing that they know can't exist at retail, like 6-inch Joes, things like that. There's a lot of heat around something like that, but I don't know that Hasbro cares enough anymore because G.I. Joe is basically dead. But stuff like that, things like that, I'm curious if they would ever consider doing that. Of course, I'm also curious if we see anything to begin with at Toy Fair. So I'm curious what's going on with HasLab as far as just existing, but then I also want to see that finished barge. And even more so beyond that, Hasbro has an enormous new property to reveal this year. They kind of stole the show last year when they announced that they were taking over Power Rangers, and then we found out immediately after the show that they didn't just take over, they own it outright. So just like G.I. Joe is owned fully by Hasbro, Power Rangers is owned fully by Hasbro, and we know what's coming in that Wave 1 assortment of the Lightning Collection. What I need to know is what's coming after that. I need to know kind of how they've planned out their waves. I really want to know what they've got as far as assortments go. But above all, I want to see that finished Lord Zedd figure because we know he's in Wave 1. And frankly, that is the figure to get as far as I'm concerned. I love the White Ranger, don't get me wrong. He is the flagship as far as that goes. The white and the green is the flagship. But Lord Zedd, in Hasbro's hands, I think could be a truly amazing figure. And then even more so, I want to see their plans for Legacy-style Zords. So we had the Bandai Legacy collection to give us older Zords, older mecha in a more updated, collector-friendly format. Are they doing that? Is Hasbro going to do that? I do not really want Transformer-style Zords. I want exactly what Bandai was making, but maybe a little better quality, and just with more oomph and with more presence at retail. So I'm really curious what they're going to offer. I'm sure we're going to see Wave 1 of the Lightning Collection, and I guess we'll get a hint of what's coming as well, because those should be out relatively soon. So Hasbro's definitely got a ton on deck, and it's easily one of the big things to just say, I want to see all of their stuff, but there's some really specific things that I want to see from them at Toy Fair. Of course, it could not be a what toys do I want to see video without talking about Masters of the Universe, and there's two sides to this one this year, because we know for sure that Mattel has some sort of interest again in doing Motu. What actually happens, frankly, I don't know. We don't even know if they're going to be there to show this kind of stuff in that capacity, the collector side of things. They might just be showing Barbies and Hot Wheels for all we know. But what I'm curious about is, are we actually getting any of the stuff that they've showed at PowerCon, for example? Those vintage-style figures like the Slime Pit He-Man or the larger giant-sized vintage-type figures. I'm really curious, are we actually getting that? Are they doing anything with the She-Ra Netflix show? Because as we know, Super 7 made 2 figures, which I actually didn't buy those. Couldn't bring myself to pay that. Is Mattel actually going to be making She-Ra stuff? Because they hinted that that was coming, and I guess now would be the time. I'm curious why we wouldn't have already seen it since the show has been out for months, but now would be the time to actually demo it to everybody. So I'm curious if that's actually going to happen. And then, of course, Super 7. So we know Super 7's giving us Classics Wave 3, their Classics Wave 3, and they seem to have hinted that there is a reason why it's taken so long, and that when we finally realize what the figures are, we will be very satisfied. I don't know, I guess the hopeful person's in me, which doesn't come out very often, is saying that that's Motu movie stuff. So Dolph Lundgren He-Man movie stuff. I don't know if that's even remotely a capability, but it's something that makes me think, that would definitely be worth the wait, no doubt about it. Beyond that, though, we do have more Filmation. I'm sure we might get a hint of what's going on there. Reaction, the Neo vintage stuff. I'd like to see some of those new figures that they've shown recently. And, just basically everything that they've got. Of course, there is a big thing. What's going on with Snake Mountain? Do we know if it's coming? Are we going to get, maybe an updated shot of it? Are we going to get a price? Are we going to get a release schedule? Are we going to get anything? Are they going to say, we're still working on it because, frankly, it's a huge undertaking? I don't know, but I want to see. My big thing for them is Classics Wave 3. I really, really, really want to know what has been the hang-up. I want to know why it's taken so long and what they say is really going to wow us. And last but certainly not least is the one thing that I'm really not sure if there's even going to be a presence for. If Mattel's not there to show off Motu, they definitely aren't going to be there to show off this. But of course, this is my favorite property of all time. It's the thing that I want to see the most. So I need to know what's going on with Thundercats. They showed stuff off at PowerCon. Now is the time to really show us something new. If there's anything, if the crying and yelling and screaming online has really done anything, or are they going to just bypass Toy Fair and go straight to San Diego Comic-Con with stuff? I just really want to know. There's definitely a reason why they showed off Jaga and Groon at PowerCon. They didn't do it just to rile fans up. They did it for a reason. I would just like to know what that reason is, and I'm sure that if the right folks are there for the collector side of things, that's got to be a focus, because if not, they're going to get 1,000,001 questions as to why. But I'm really curious what the plan is, assuming everything is actually going to go forward. Are we going to get Jaga and Groon as figures 1 and 2? Are they going to go back and reissue the figures from the initial assortment? Because some people still want those. I have a few that I've held on to just in case of a rainy day where I can make other collections of figures. But I know that there is still an interest in these figures. I'm curious if we are actually going to get anything. So that's enough, right? That's plenty of stuff, honestly. I think that we're going to see a lot of cool stuff at Toy Fair. I'm really curious what everybody else is interested in seeing. I think I covered just about everything, honestly. Star Wars, Marvel, NECA, DC to a degree, but Motu and Thundercats. Motu and Thundercats are still the definite 1 and 2 for me. Those are the things that I want to see the most. But Hasbro, of course, is definitely the big presence, and I really, really, really want to see the Power Rangers Lightning Collection, because I really want that line to succeed, because I am a humongous Power Rangers fan. There just hasn't been anything lately that's done it for me, and I think they have the chance to really revitalize Power Ranger toys. So that's it, guys. Looking forward to Toy Fair. Let me know what you guys think. Let me know what you guys are looking for, and we will reconvene after Toy Fair.